Hello, my name's Matt, and I play second horn in the Hallé. Welcome to the latest episode of Geek of the Week. This is a chance to ask us musicians in the orchestra anything you've ever wanted to know about unusual aspects of our jobs. If you've ever wanted to know why trumpet players bring more than one instrument on the stage, or oboe players always have a cup of water with them, then get in touch with us using the hashtag Geek of the Week, and we'll try to find the right musician to answer your questions. My Geek of the Week topic looks into the intricacies of a horn player's right hand technique, and asks the question, why do we put our hand in the bell of the horn?
What?
What do you say?
I'm sorry, what?
Unless you are lucky enough to sit directly behind the horn section in a concert hall, you might have never seen how we use our right hand as a tool to create sound that you hear in the auditorium. I've divided my Geek of the Week topic into 5 separate headings: the history of the horn, schools of thoughts, tuning, sound, and practicality. As I'm sure you're all aware, French horn players rest their right hand in the bell of the horn. The horn didn't always look like what we see in the concert hall today, and to understand why we put our right hand in the bell, we need to look briefly into the history of the horn. Until the middle of the 16th century, the horn was used by hunters as a means of communication during the hunt. The body of the horn was wound in large coils so that it could be carried on the shoulder while riding a horse. The bell faced to the rear to keep it getting in the rider's way and would be played one-handed, holding the main part of the instrument. These later developed into natural horns, as players were discovering that by using their hand in the bell to play all of the notes in between the harmonic series, using a technique called hand stopping. This involves sharpening notes by opening the hand position and flattening notes by closing the hand position. Here is a chromatic scale starting on G, which shows by using no vowels and the hand alone, I can achieve all of the notes in the chromatic scale. The horn started to be used in operas with the use of different crooks.
What do you say?
Which meant the horn could play in different keys. Vowels were invented during the early part of the 19th century, and the natural horn, or commonly known as the hand horn, slowly morphed into the modern horn, which we use today. Schools of thoughts. There are many different ideas and schools of thoughts on what's the best hand position to have. Every horn player has different size and shape hands, and therefore will have different hand positions. There can be difficulties with having both larger and smaller hands, which affect where your hand position may end up. Beginner players with smaller hands find it difficult to maintain an optimal hand position while supporting the weight of the instrument if they are playing a full-size horn. The perhaps most referred to book for explaining hand position is The Art of French Horn Playing by Philip Farkas. This book is seen by many as a Bible for horn players and offers detailed explanations of what is considered ideal positioning for the right hand. Here are some images from Farkas's book which show his idea of correct and incorrect hand position. As a horn section in the orchestra, each player will hold the horn differently and therefore have a different hand position. Some of the easiest ways to show someone who doesn't play the French horn the correct hand position is to imagine the position of your hand if you're swimming front crawl, or if the Queen was giving you a royal wave. Tuning. As mentioned previously when discussing natural horns, we can sharpen or flatten a note just by the use of our right hand. Here I am playing a G. When I close my hand position in the bell, the pitch becomes flatter, and when I open my hand position in the bell, the pitch becomes sharper. As we are playing, we can make tiny movements to adjust our tuning so we are in sync with the rest of the section and orchestra. We are always adjusting to what we hear around us. There are many factors which can have an impact on tuning. It could be something as trivial as a temperature in a concert hall. Instead of moving all of our slides around, which would take ages, we are able to adjust the tuning of individual notes to compensate using our hand position. Sound. What might be considered as the most important aspect of horn playing is sound, and this is what you, our audience members, hear when we play. The hand position directly affects the sound quality. The more open the position, the brighter the sound. The more closed the position, the warmer and darker the sound becomes. If the hand position is too closed, the sound becomes muffled. Different countries and orchestras have different sounds, and here in the UK, we tend to have a warmer and darker sound, versus orchestras in Germany, for example, and their horn section sound is a bit brighter and more open. One important sound quality for the horn is the use of hand stopping. We have already seen how hand stopping technique was used with natural horns, and composers started to use this technique more and more, especially in music from the Romantic period. The pitch of the horn will get lower as you close your hand position in the bell. To compensate for this change in pitch, we have to use a fingering which is a semitone lower to play the required notes. This creates that nasal sound that I'm sure many of you have heard when listening to concerts. There are many famous examples of this technique. There are varying degrees of stopping, of which the most common are fully stopped and half stopped. Fully stopped requires the player to create a complete seal in the bell with the use of their hand. Half stopped is a term mainly used in French music. It's used to create an echo horn effect, most notoriously by a French composer called Paul Dukas. Here is a first horn excerpt from The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which translates literally to take the fingering a semitone above. By doing this, and not using the fingering below like we would if we were fully stopping the note, the sound has a much more muffled characteristic, like an echo. You may have noticed that horn players sometimes use mutes that look different to our normal shaped mutes. These are called stopping mutes, and these are sometimes used as they manage to create a really nasal sound, especially in the lower register. Practicality. Last but not least, we use our right hand in the bell to support most of the weight of the instrument. The standard modern double horn that we play on weighs about 2 to 3 kilograms. By taking most of the instrument weight with our right hand in the bell, the left hand is free to use the valves and support the instrument using as little tension as possible. Some players rest the bell of their horn on their right leg, and this is a notoriously controversial discussion among horn players. The common consensus is that it does have an effect on the sound, but there is a divided opinion as to if this is for better or for worse. And at the end of the day, most horn players will just do what they feel is most comfortable. So that's it. Thanks for joining me on my Geek of the Week video. I hope you've learnt something new about what goes on inside the French horn bell, as you can't see it from the audience. And I look forward to seeing you back at the Bridgewater Hall as soon as possible. Join us next week for another episode of Geek of the Week.